It was over 2 years ago when I reviewed the G.I. Joe Classified Snake Eyes, the first figure released in the Classified line, and I called it then Hasbro's best 6-inch action figure. Now, I personally love G.I. Joe. It was my favorite toy as a kid. However, I'm not all in on G.I. Joe Classified. I've always made G.I. Joe my own, and I've never worried about getting all the characters and having this, that, and the other. I get the ones that speak to me. So I have less than 10 classified figures, but I knew one character I absolutely needed was Storm Shadow. The first Storm Shadow released was like this weird Arctic deco that was like an homage to a weird, like, wasn't it the DIC cartoon version of Storm Shadow, something odd like that. Wasn't really interested. I wanted to wait for a more traditional Storm Shadow. I can't believe it took 2 years, but the reason why I did was because this was the original G.I. Joe Classified Storm Shadow design. He had a faceplate, and he had tattoos on his arms. Fans didn't like that. They thought it was too much of a departure from the classic Storm Shadow look. So Hasbro totally scrapped it, and now we finally have a proper classified Storm Shadow. And I can say, it was worth the wait. This Storm Shadow is absolutely amazing. I love having a Storm Shadow to go with my Snake Eyes. I love having Storm Shadow to be alongside Cobra Commander and my Viper and my Trooper and my Bat. You know, and I have Beachhead. I literally have just listed my classified collection. But I will... Oh man, they've announced some great ones. Kamakura? Dude, that's my childhood right there. Kamakura's my childhood. That was like my favorite. Can't wait for him. Dusty and the Crimson Guard, I gotta get them too. That's basically the extent of my classified collection and what I want. Heck, I love Commando Snake Eyes, but I didn't love them enough to buy whole other Snake Eyes, so I ended up getting a fodder head that I switch out with that Snake Eyes whenever I want a Commando. I'm that picky with this line. But I knew this was the Storm Shadow I wanted, and I am very, very happy with it. I love, too, that he did come in the same wave as Spirit, because Storm Shadow and Spirit were like the original rivalry before Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. But I'm not too big of a fan of the G.I. Joe's characters. Like, my favorite Joes, the top 5, Snake Eyes, Kamakura, Dusty, Beachhead, and Wide Scope. Who knows Wide Scope? Most people don't, but... Storm Shadow, man. He's one of my favorite Cobras, and I'm so happy to have a classified figure of him. So, what does he come with? Pretty much everything you see, plus one other thing. So he has 2 katana. One's a little shorter, so it's going to be a different name. I don't know. I'm not a Japanese sword guy. I'm a freaking G.I. Joe toy guy. Those are really nice. He holds them very well. And they also do slot into the sheath very nicely as well. He does come with a little tassel here, which you can actually articulate, which really helps with certain poses. I think that looks really cool. He does have a couple throwing stars on his strap, but unfortunately you can't remove them. Obviously the strap's a separate accessory. He does have a bow, and obviously you need an arrow. And the arrow slots in so smoothly, and pretty securely too, I'm surprised. Like, normally if you have an arrow in a quiver, in an action figure, it just falls right out. Not here. I'm very happy about that. And obviously this is also its own accessory. Love the Arashikage symbol right there. And I also love how this can tab on. Aw, man. Most Storm Shadow figures, if it comes with a bow, you're kind of, you know, SOL. You don't really have a way to store it on him, but I'm very happy you do here. And his last accessory, he has an optional hood. He has this hood down piece around his neck that kind of floats around. Personally, I don't like it. I actually probably will omit everything related to the hood. Because you do also have the hood. And I just dropped it, but you have the hood. And you can take the hood. Best way to do it is kind of slot the head in there. Let's not knock into Storm Shadow. Pop his head back on. It's a little hard with the hood, but once you do... The hood, it doesn't look bad. It actually looks really good just straight on, but once you start posing his head, I feel like you start having some issues with the hood. It's not a bad hood at all. I think it's very nice looking for what it is. I personally just... If Storm Shadow's going to have a hood, he's got to have camo on him. At least that's how I see it. And I knew for Classified, the only Storm Shadow I wanted was a classic V1 Storm Shadow, all white. If they do a V2, I might be tempted, because V2 Storm Shadow is my favorite version. If they start doing homages to Valor vs. Venom and Spy Troops, I'm in trouble, because I gotta buy all those. I mean, heck, that's what Kamakura is. He's from Spy Troops. So, yeah, let's get that off. It is kind of hard to get the head out of the hood, I've noticed. You have to kind of pinch it and then kind of yank it out. I'm personally not going to use either of those. I just think it makes them less posable and less fun, because it's just something else to wibble and just wiggle around on him. The bow, too. If I'm posing him around, I normally just keep the bow off, because this guy is hand candy, man. Hand candy is a term to describe an action figure that's so fun to pose and mess with. It's just satisfaction to your fingertips. And this guy is exactly that. Look at how long it took me to get him in this pose. Look at that. Look at that. No time at all. It's so good. This is such a good action figure. One thing I love, I was telling my brother, because my brother, he collects classified hardcore. He pretty much has all of them. He loves this figure too, and I said, man, I love it, but I'm very happy I don't collect it like you do, because every time I get one, it just makes it so much more special to me. It's like, I've got a new G.I. Joe. And it's just so nice. If I got one like every other month, it wouldn't be as special. Oh, man, I can't wait for Dusty and the Crimson Guard, though. And Kamakura. Oh, my gosh. And Kamakura is based off of this mold, too. Perfect. Another thing, too, the belt kind of floats around. You could probably glue it into place, but I do like how it kind of hides the joint right there. It serves its purpose. It's a nice belt. Doesn't really get in the way too much. So his detail is really nice. The head sculpt is basically perfect. That's Storm Shadow. That's him. Looks great. I love the I'm leaving that in. I love the musculature on the arms, especially the fact that it's pinless now. It looks so good. Like, you can tell there's a lot of power in those arms, and I love it. I love the arm straps too. I think that looks really cool. The gloves. I like how this glove has 2 fingers out, because, you know, firing the bow and arrow. The Cobra logo right there looks nice. He doesn't have too much detail, but I mean, sculpted. He actually has a lot of texture and a lot of detail. Look at the boots right there. I love the wash on those straps. That looks really nice. He's got like the 2-toed shoes too, like a ninja. Man, this is where it's at. This is Storm Shadow right here. I love it. It's so good. His articulation, let's just talk about that. The head is on a double ball joint up top, and also has a ball joint at the neck. So you pretty much get all the range you'd ever really want out of that head right there. That's really good. It does have a butterfly at the shoulder. It's kind of limiting, though. It's a little disappointing. I wish it moved just a little bit more. But you do have the standard, you know, disc hinge at the shoulder. Swivel at the bicep. How far do his elbows go? It's pretty far. It's not super far. It's not all the way, but given the bicep he's got going on, that's pretty good. I did pop off his quiver just now. He does have up and down at the wrists, which is nice for swords. I'm happy Hasbro has finally understood that's pretty much the only useful point of articulation for a weapon-wielding character. But unfortunately, the hinge doesn't really move much. You don't get a lot out of it. Most of the sword pointing is actually going to come from tilting the sword in the hand. So that's a little disappointing. It does have really nice ab crunch, though. Goes forward, goes back a little bit. Let's see if it goes back more if we take the quiver off or just move it. Oh, yeah. If you have that off, it goes back way more. The waist. Is it just a swivel? It's very tight. I think it might just be a swivel, because I'm not getting a lot of ball joint action out of that. Even if it is a ball joint, you're only really getting a swivel motion out of that waist, unfortunately. The hips have the drop down, as we've come to expect. They're kind of clicky, I've noticed. They're kind of like standard G.I. Joe classified hips, where they want to click on you, and I really don't like that. It's kind of uncomfortable to me. But thigh swivel, double jointed knee, again, really nice and pinless. Let's see if we can get a little bit more by getting that top. Yeah, that's pretty good. He's not going to kick his own butt, but why does he need to do that? I'm not the floosh. He has a boot swivel, down, up, and he's got a really nice tilt. So articulation's pretty great. Not perfect. I do feel like the wrist hinge could be a bit better, and I feel like if he had a more movable ball joint at the waist, that would really benefit for some poses. But overall, man, let's get him holding the bow and arrow. I did try this already. It doesn't really work too well, in my opinion. He kind of struggles because it is an action figure after all. And action figures aren't the best at holding bows and arrows. So one thing that's kind of confusing to me, like, these fingers are posed like he's going to hold the arrow. I guess he would pull them out. I feel like they're in the wrong spot. If, like, you know, if he's going to be pulling the arrow with this hand, I feel like the quiver should be more oriented like that. But it's an action figure. I don't care. Get that kind of slotted in his hand. We'll do that last. I mean, he holds it all right. I'm pretty sure that's the handle. I've always kind of struggled to understand the anatomy of a bow. I've only shot some very simple wooden ones. I've never shot any of these advanced ones. One unfortunate thing, too, is that the string, like, you can't really draw it back. So it's never really going to look realistic. He's never really going to look like he's drawing the bow. Not unless you cut that and replace it with an actual elastic string or something. And I feel like with the lack of butterfly joint, you kind of struggle too. I mean, honestly, like, you saw how easy it was for me to get him in a sword pose. I can't really get him in a bow and arrow pose much better than this. Unfortunately, he's not looking straight down. It looks good from here, but once you go here, it's like, where am I shooting? If you actually look at how archers pose, he's not going to be looking like an archer. I mean, it's not drawn back. It's if anything, it looks cool to have him, like, getting it ready, maybe. Like, that would look cool. Like, you can see he's kind of getting it ready. That looks cool. But he's never really going to look like he's fully drawing it back. But it's an action figure, so who cares? So, let's just keep him holding that. There we go. There is classified Storm Shadow, pretty much in his entirety. Let's get him with Snake Eyes one last time. Let's get him posed up. About to grab a sword, holding his bow. He's kind of off frame. That's so professional of me. So yeah, here's Storm Shadow. And here's Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes, his backpack just straight up does not want to stay on. But one thing that Snake Eyes came with, he came with this awesome alternate hand with the shuriken in it. Kind of wish Storm Shadow had something like that. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, man, that's so nice. I love it. So, is Storm Shadow amazing? Yes, he is pretty amazing. Is he my favorite classified figure? Man, I don't know. I love every single one in their own way. I love the Troopers. I love the Cobra Bat. I love Cobra Commander. I love every single classified figure to such an extent where I don't even think I have a least favorite. Seriously, I love them all in their own way. I can't even pick a favorite. I can't even pick which one's best. I mean, on a technical level, this is probably the best because he's pinless. But yeah, I mean, this Snake Eyes, his engineering's really great despite the fact that he does have the pins. And honestly, the fact that he's a darker color, you don't really even notice the pins that much. And the pins went away by, like, what, wave 2 or 3 of Classified? Something early like that. I mean, I prefer the pinless. I think it looks amazing. I think they even feel better. But this Storm Shadow is... it's good. It's good. I cannot wait to see it in green. Let's just put it that way. Kamakura does have a little bit more going on besides this being a straight-up Storm Shadow, but I think Kamakura being based off of the Storm Shadow is an amazing choice, and I cannot wait. He might be my favorite classified figure just based off the merit that he's Kama-freaking-Kura. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Highly recommend Classified Storm Shadow. He is remarkable. I love him. He's great. I'm so happy to have a Classified Storm Shadow in my collection. It's friggin' Storm Shadow. I love Storm Shadow. Alrighty, guys. There we go. Thank you so much for watching. Special shout out to the patrons of Patreon. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, as always. Alrighty, guys. There we go. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.